MSNBC. Well, it is game on as the GOP presidential hopefuls battle it out in Iowa. The Republican National Committee is going after President Obama. The RNC communications director sent reporters this memo, quote, "Our messaging strategy is simple. Talk about the Obama record. The Democrats won't, but we'll be happy to." Joining me now from Des Moines, Iowa, R.T. Rybak, mayor of Minneapolis and vice chair of the Democratic National Committee. Mr. Mayor, good morning.
Good morning, and I can't wait to talk about President Obama's record.
Well, I mean, the RNC is suggesting this, that President Obama has made their case for them because the economy is still struggling. Is it going to be difficult for Obama to run on his record?
Here's the record. 4 years ago, the president took office. We were hemorrhaging 700,000 jobs a month. We were stuck in a war in Iraq that was unfocused. Bin Laden was running all over. We had health care costs out of control. Greatest economic catastrophe since the Depression. The president took over. He led us to 21 straight months of private sector job growth. He got us out of the war in Iraq and got Bin Laden. He took on the third rail of American politics in health care reform, and he's been focused on the middle class. From the moment that he took office, the Republican Party said the number one job wasn't to solve any of those problems, but was to try to stop President Obama. In spite of all of that, he got an incredible amount done. Now we need to send him back with a Congress that'll get things done.
Well, let's talk a little bit about strategy toward that end, because he obviously isn't staying in the background. He's planning to make a trip to Iowa. There was a big front page story in the New York Times a couple of days ago about how the organization there is being built very strongly. And I think a lot of people thought, why so much time and energy in Iowa for the president when obviously he's unopposed in the caucuses? Explain that.
Well, you have to remember how the president got elected, and Iowa had a lot to do with it. It wasn't by running a bunch of negative ads and trashing people. It was by going door to door, looking people in the eye, having them ask tough questions, earning their trust. And that's what we've done. We have more offices in Iowa than any Republican candidate. Meanwhile, what's happened is that Mitt Romney, who spent millions 4 years ago, has had an operation here for all these years, spent millions more to attack others, and the entire field collapses, and he still can't win the hearts and minds of Iowans. President Obama won the hearts and minds of Iowans, and we're going to continue to do that one by one.
But it does seem that Mitt Romney is peaking at the right time. We were talking about this a little earlier, and now he is really making a hard push in Iowa. He put out another new ad today, and it looks like he's almost unbeatable in New Hampshire, where he has a home. He is the candidate, isn't he, who will be toughest for the president to beat? Weren't the Democrats hoping, frankly, that this race would or maybe still will go on a long time, and that the Republicans can beat up on each other a little while longer?
There's no doubt you'd rather have the other team fighting each other. But let's stop and look at this for a second. After all that time and all that money, Mitt Romney is struggling to beat one of the weakest fields in the history of these caucuses. So if you go to a dance and all the other guys collapse, and you're the only guy standing there, and the person over there, the woman, still won't dance with you, that doesn't mean you're Casanova. If she finally says, well, nobody else is standing, I'm going to go with you. That's really what's happening in this caucus. And the reality is this, that if Mitt Romney is going to talk about, as his advisor was just saying, being an economic superpower, we're going to talk about the fact that we made 12 million cars in this country last year, 1 million more than last year. That's because President Obama stepped up and saved the American auto industry. Mitt Romney said we should have let it collapse. I don't think being a superpower means letting China and everybody else make cars. So the key to it is the president's got a record to run on, but more important, the future here is whether we keep moving forward or whether we go back to the failed economic policies of George Bush and Mitt Romney that got us into this mess in the first place. And I'll stick with President Obama's chances in that one.
Well, I just want to make mention of the fact there's a lot of security behind you suddenly, and it's not for you, Mayor. It apparently is because Newt Gingrich is going to be showing up. But we do appreciate your time, Mayor Rybak. Thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Thanks a lot.
Furious cell phone customers are asking if a